firm has operating profit of $15,000 on sales of 10,000 units. Fixed costs are $30,000. What is the firm's cash break-even in units? Any ideas on how to do this? Okay, so let's think this through. One of the things that we're going to, so we have fixed cost. Break even for cash is fixed cost divided by the contribution margin. Do we have contribution margin? No. But we know contribution margin goes at first to cover the fixed costs, and then anything that's left over becomes operating profit. Does that make sense? Okay, so we know that our fixed costs here are $30,000. And we know that we're supposed to have $15,000 in operating profits. And that's going to be equal to, by the way, they say at sales of 10,000 units. So we're looking at the operating margin, or the marginal contribution multiplied by 10,000 units. Does that make sense? Because we know that those 10,000 units, the first bit goes to cover the fixed costs, the second bit creates the operating profit. Okay, so we've got 45,000 over here is equal to P minus V times 10,000. So what is P minus V? It's just what, 45 over 10? 450? Does that make sense? Okay, now remember that our break-even quantity is equal to fixed cost divided by P minus V. This is cash break-even. We know the fixed costs are how much? 30,000? And our P minus V is 450. And so when we do that math out, we get 6,666.66 blah, 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 on until the end of the world. Now, can I make that many units? No. If I only make 6,666 units, guess what? I haven't achieved what I'm talking about here. So the break-even, we always round up for any fraction. And you'll see that one of the answers here in one of these homeworks is actually messed up that way. Any questions on that? What are the two things that your contribution margin goes to cover? First, it covers what? Fixed costs, and then it becomes, beyond the fixed cost, it becomes profit, right? Okay. Any questions on that one? Okay, now we are on to number 53 on the Chapter 8 practice. Weisbro & Sons purchases its inventory 1 quarter prior to the quarter of sale. The purchase price is 57% of the sales price. The accounts payable period is 60 days. The accounts payable balance at the beginning of the quarter is, quarter 1 is 27,500. Quarters 1 through 4 are expected to be, and they give them, what's the amount of the expected disbursements for quarter 3? Assume a 360-day year. Oh, wow. Okay, so disbursements, that's the amount of money that we're going to spend, right? And the accounts payable balance. So we're buying 2/3 of this quarter. So we bought 1/3 of this quarter last quarter. Does that make sense? Okay. And we're buying 2/3 of this quarter. And we're also buying 1 month of the next quarter. And so what does that mean? It means that we have to have 2/3 of the current number. So 60 over 90, and we know that the sales are going to be 57,800. But is that the amount that we're paying? Yeah, we've got to multiply by 0.57 because our cost of goods sold are 57% of our sales. Now we're also going to get the first month of the next, the first month of the next quarter. And how much is the next quarter?
62,000.
Yeah, 62,500 multiplied by 0.57. Bless you. Okay, so let's get our calculators out. I'm going to hold off and multiply by 0.57 at the end, that way I don't have to type it twice. So 57,800 times 2 divided by 3. Is that what you're getting for that first bit? I'm going to store that in location 1. And then for the second bit, 500 divided by 3. You guys see why that's 1/3? I'm going to store that in location 2. I'm going to say recall 1 plus recall 2 times 0.57 equals, I'm getting 33,839, which is what they get. Those are hard on the brain, right? How many of those do you think I'll actually give you on an exam? One at most, right? Okay, next we have number 54. Okay, they have a 45-day accounts payable period. The firm has expected sales for quarters 1 through 4, and they give it to us. The cost of goods sold for quarters equal to 58% of the next quarter's sales. So what's the amount of projected cash disbursements for accounts payable in quarter 3? Assume a 360-day year. So they got a 45-day accounts payable period. That means from the day that they buy this stuff, they have 45 days to pay. So that means that they are going to be paying for half of last quarter and half of this quarter. Does that make sense? So the sales, let's go ahead and put sales up here. So the sales are 2240. Tell me if I make a mistake here. 2240, 2650.
2820.
Thank you.
2700.
2700. Okay, now what do they tell us? They tell us the cost of goods sold is equal to 58% of the next quarter's sales. But we're looking at cash disbursements here. So we know basically that our costs are 58% of the sales, right? So can we calculate for quarter 1 here the cost of goods sold? So it's going to be what percent?
58%.
Yeah. So it's going to be 0.58 times 2650. 1537. Do you all agree with that number?
Yeah.
Okay, what about here? We're looking at 58% of this number. What is it?
1635.6.
1635 what?
0.6.
0.6. Very good. And now we're looking at 58% of that number, what is it?
1566.
1566. Okay, now, can we calculate for quarter four? No. So, what are they asking us here? They're asking us the projected cash disbursements for accounts payable for quarter three. So, quarter three, they're actually paying, but keep in mind they've got the other half, right? And so it's going to be half that's left over from this, and half of that, because 45 over 90 is half. Does that make sense? They're having to pay for this much of the last and this much of the current. So if we take $15.66 plus $16.35.60 and divide by 2, we should get $1,600.80.
I think the reason I had that one on there too is because I thought about doing it that way, but then the math up there says that you have the 0.58 times the 2,700.
Uh-huh.
Is that just for that? Is that I got confused? I think I was getting that confused with quarter four's cost instead of quarter three.
Oh, so, but they're saying that our cost every quarter is 57 or 58% of the next quarter, right? So that's one of the things that can throw you off there. Sometimes we'll just tell you it's 57%, right? So it's the timing that probably threw you off here. Okay, now, let's look at number 56. You have a question?
Yeah, so I think I'm just getting confused on the term. I understand the 45-day accounts payable period, but wasn't 50, the one we did on 55 or 53,
Uh-huh.
was the accounts payable period 30 days? Is that why we times it by 60?
Yeah, so if we go back here, it said that our accounts payable period is 60 days.
Okay.
And so basically, we would be paying 2/3 of one quarter, 60 over 90, and 1/3 of another.
Okay.
On April 1st, the firm had a beginning cash balance of $239. March sales were $474. April sales were $473. During April, the firm had cash expenses of $135 and payments of accounts payable of $212. The accounts receivable period is 30 days. What is the firm's beginning cash balance on May 1st? Assume a 360-day year. Okay, so let's walk through this. They have, let's see, the receivable period is 30 days. What kind of money are they going to be receiving during April? Because that's going to get us up to May 1st, right? What are they going to be receiving during April? Are they going to be getting the April sales, or are they going to be getting the March sales? Yeah, they're going to be getting the March sales. So that's money coming in. Now, they tell us that our April firm had cash expenses, during April, the firm had cash expenses of $135, and that they had to pay $212. And so what we're looking here is and what else did they tell us? That we started with an initial cash balance of $239. Now let's see what that says on April 1st. Yeah, okay, so at the beginning of the month, they've got $239. They bring in $474 in cash from the prior month's sales, because they got 30 days collection time. And then they have to pay $135 in expenses, And they also have to pay $212 on their accounts payable. So let's put this into the calculator and see what we get. I'm getting 366. Most common mistake on something like this would be not adding the initial cash balance. And you'll notice that that isn't one of the answers. If I were writing this problem, it would be. Because it's a close distractor, right? Does that make sense? Because that's the kind of man I am. Okay, here we go. Number 57. Jupiter Stores had a quarter two beginning balance of 647. Sales for quarters 1 through 3 are estimated, blah, 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 blah. The cost of goods sold is equal to 59% of sales. Notice this time, it's not next month's sales, it's this month's sales. So make note of that. Goods are purchased 1 quarter prior to the month's sales. So now what are they saying? Now we're back to cost of goods sold being 1 quarter behind, right? Because you're buying stuff here to sell in the next quarter. The accounts payable is 30 days. The accounts receivable period is 15 days. The firm had quarterly cash expense of 210. What was the cash balance at the end of quarter 2? Holy crap, here we go. How many quarters have we got here? 3? So, sales for quarter 1, 800, 950, and what's this one over here? 1200. Okay, cost of goods sold is going to be 59% of sales. But it's 59% of sales for the next quarter. Am I interpreting that correctly? Okay, so all we've got to do, though, to figure out our cost of goods sold here is to take 59% of 950. How much is that?
560.5.
560.5. And then what is 59% of 1200? 708? And I can't do anything for quarter 3 because I don't know beyond that. Now, they also tell us that our accounts payable period is 30 days. So, what does that mean? Now, we're looking at the cash balance at the end of quarter 2. So, we're looking at what's going on between these 2 times. Now, when I'm talking about paying out, because I've got accounts payable period of 30 days, how much of quarter 1 is going to be included here in my paying out during quarter 2? 30 days, so 30 divided by 90 is 1/3, right? And so we're looking at 1/3 times 560.5 plus 2/3 times 780. And so that's the cash that's going out for cost of goods sold. So we can go ahead and figure that one out. 560.5 divided by 3 equals plus, open parentheses, 2 times 708 divided by 3, close parentheses, equals, I'm getting 658 point, yeah, so 658.83. Now, what other disbursements do we have?
Cash expense.
Yeah, so they tell us cash expenses of 210. So plus 210 is is going to give us $868.83. And so those are our outflows. So we've got our outflows here. We need to figure out about our collections. Now, the accounts receivable period is 15 days. So, how much of our quarter one sales are we going to be collecting in quarter two?
15 over
Yeah. So 15 over 90 multiplied by the quarter one sales. And then how much of our quarter two sales are we going to be collecting? Yeah. $950. Let's figure out how much that is. By the way, 15 over 90 is 1/6. 800 divided by 6 is equal to store 1. And then 5 divided by 6 is equal to multiplied by 950 equal to store 2. Recall 1 plus recall 2 equals. I'm getting 925, which is what they get too. Does that make sense? Okay, so we've got, this is going to be a negative, right? And we've got this 925 that's cash coming in, that's positive. And there's one more number that we need to consider. What was it?
The beginning cash balance.
Yeah, the beginning cash balance. Now, quarter, where is the beginning cash balance? Do they tell us?
647.
Yeah, there we go. 647. So that's going to be also a plus. Okay, now we're going to add all this stuff together. I've got 925 in here. I'm going to add 647 equal, and I'm going to subtract 868. 83. I'm getting 703.17. Okay, let's move on to homework 9.
We have one more on there.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry. You're right, number 62. Okay, supplier offers you credit terms of 1/5 net 20. What's the cost of foregoing the discount on the purchase of $12.50? Assume a 365-day year. Do we even need to know the 1,250? No, that was put in there to confuse lesser thinkers. So let's see what we've got here. When we figure these sorts of things, we're going to figure out, number one, the period rate, and number two, the number of periods in a year. The period rate here is going to be 1/99. And why is that? If I go ahead and take the discount, I'm paying 99 bucks. But if I don't take the discount, I'm basically borrowing that $99 for a certain number of days, which we will figure out. And in return, I'm paying $1. So that's why the period interest rate is 1 divided by 99. Now, the next question is, how many of these periods are there? If I've got terms of 1/5 net 20, what day am I going to pay on if I take the discount? Day 5. And what day am I going to pay on if I don't take the discount? Day 20. How many days are between day 5 and day 20? 15. So basically, it's 15 days that I'm borrowing this money for. So, how many of those 15-day periods are there in a year? There's 365 over 15. I think this pen's about dead. Are you with me so far? What we're getting to here is our APR. And because of the way the calculator works, I'm going to go ahead and multiply all this by 100%. And we're going to put this into the nominal. So let's get our calculators out, and I'll show you the absolute easiest way to go through this. First thing I want to do is say clear. And then the first thing I want to do is calculate the number of periods, because we're going to use it twice. 365 divided by 15 equals. So we're having 24.33 of these per year. I'm going to store 1. Now I'm going to say second and the number 2. What does it say above the number 2?
Icon.
Yeah, icon. We're converting interest rates from nominal to effective. The nominal is the same as the APR, which is this thing right here. I already have 365 over 15 in my calculator. We'll call 1. Multiply by 1 divide by 99 equals, and then multiply by 100%, because in your calculator we work on percentages in this particular worksheet. And so I'm going to say enter. Does everybody get that number? Anybody not get that number? Okay, now I'm going to arrow up. What does C per Y stand for? Oh, nice guess. Compoundings per year. Compoundings per year. And that just happens to be the same as the number of periods in a year. And where do we have that stored? Yeah, so we're going to say recall 1, enter, arrow up, and then I hit compute. And for some reason, we've got the wrong number here. Is this what you guys were running into?
Yeah, my question, so if you scroll down a little bit and look at your last term, on their exponent at 365 divided by 10, I think was supposed to be 15.
Oh, those jerks. Look at that. Nice catch. Did everybody see that? Why? And by the way, did they even have to do this foolishness here? This crap? No, they could have easily done 1 over 99. And if you took this right here, that's exactly what you get, 1 over 99. How dumb. Okay, thanks for catching that. And I will make a note to fix that for the next group of poor folks that have to deal with this.
Can you clarify where you got the 1 over 99? one more time?
Yeah. So here's the idea. If I've got a 1% discount, if I take the discount, how much am I paying on $100? It's a $100 bill. How much are you paying? 99. Okay, so $99 is basically then the present value. And then at the end, if I wait, I have to pay how much? The full 100, right? Now, that payment that I make at the end, you can think of as being $99 worth of principal and $1 worth of interest. In other words, I spent $1 to borrow 99. And so I'm going to take the interest and divide by the principal, and that gives me the period rate. And so that's why it's 1 over 99. Now, what would it have been if this had been a 2% discount? 2 over 98, right? And 3 over 97 and so forth. And so if they give you the numbers, of course you can do what they did here, but I don't see any reason to do that. In fact, I wouldn't have even included the dollar number there. Okay, did everybody catch though that there's an error in this one? And the correct answer is 27.71%. Now we are on to homework number 9. A manufacturing firm has a 90-day collection period. The firm produces seasonal merchandise and has the least sales during the first quarter of the year and the highest sales during the fourth quarter of the year. The firm maintains a relatively steady level of production, which means that its cash disbursements are fairly equal in all quarters. In other words, all that we're really concerned about here for figuring out where they'd most likely be having a cash out situation, all we're concerned about is the money coming in. So 90 days is 1 quarter, right? And so we are collecting the previous quarter's sales. Do you get that? Do you see that? Okay, so what's their worst quarter of the year? The first quarter. And when would they be collecting those receivables? The second quarter. So they're going to have the lowest amount of cash coming in during the second quarter. The disbursements are equal across the quarters. So what's the quarter in which they'll most likely have a cash out problem? It's going to be the second. Does that make sense? Oh, heck. Here we go. You're doing some comparison shopping. 5 stores offer the product you want at basically the same price. Which one of the following stores offers the best credit terms if you plan on taking the discount? Do you have to do any calculations here? No. How do we know which one's the best one?
Higher discount, longer credit term.
Yeah, higher discount for the longer time period. Does that make sense? We're looking for the higher discount for the longest time period. Now, we've got other ones that have 15 days, but they only have 1% discount. We have other ones that have a 2% discount, but they're only 5 and 10 days. Only one of these has the 2% discount and the 15 days, right? No calculation necessary. Does that make sense? Okay, now we are on to homework 10. Look at that, we got 6 people that haven't even started it. Okay, question first is number 6. The Green Hornet sells earnings forecast for International Securities. Its credit terms are 210 net 30. Based on experience, 55% of all customers will take the discount. The firm sells 2,600 forecasts every month at a price of $1,100 each. What's the firm's average balance sheet in amount in accounts receivable? Okay, so 55% are going to take the discount. And let's see, 55% will take the discount, and that's in 10 days, is that right? Yeah, 10 days. What does that mean? What are we assuming about the rest?
The rest of the day.
Yeah, so 0.45 times 30. Why am I doing that? We're trying to find day sales outstanding. This is our, this is day sales outstanding. Okay, so let's get our calculator out here. 0.55 times 10 equals plus open parentheses 0.45 times 30 close parentheses equals, I'm getting 19 days sales outstanding. So now, if I want to find out how much I have in accounts receivable on average, all I have to do is figure out what my average sale is, average day sale, and multiply it by 19. Does that make sense?
So the work that I did, I just got the whole amount, like the 2.86 million, whatever it was,
Uh-huh.
and then did 12 over 365. You have the 12 periods, and then times 19.
Okay, so it is a matter of, we got back to my 30 days versus, okay. Let's try that one more time, and we'll go back to my original idea, where we take, actually, we could say, recall 1, which is 2,600 times 1,100, multiply by 12, equal, divide by 365. equals. And then I'm gonna multiply that by my 19 days, and there we go. So it was a difference between 30 days and 30-something days. Now, on an exam, I will try not to have the numbers be so close that it would end up being like that. 'Cause that's just not right.
Could you walk through the,
My original way?
yeah, like how you got that? 'Cause I'm kind of lost.
Okay, yeah, and that's totally understandable. Okay, so the way we're gonna figure it out, they asked for accounts receivable. And we know that accounts receivable is equal to days sales outstanding. That's the number of days sales, and then multiply by the average daily credit sales. And so we need to figure out both of those things. So let's figure out the average days sales first. They tell us that 55% of people are going to take the discount. The discount gets paid on, or the discount has to be paid by what day?
Daytime.
Day 10. So we're going to have 0.55 multiplied by 10 because 55% are paying in 10 days. Now they don't state it explicitly, but the assumption here is everybody else pays on what day?
Day 30.
Day 30. And so we're going to have 0.45 times 30 because 45% of people are paying in 30 days. And when we add those two things together, we see that we have 19 days sales outstanding. So we've got half the puzzle. Now we figure out the other half of the puzzle, which is the average daily sales. Now, I messed up in that I was looking at monthly and just divided by 30. But we know that months have actually a little more than 30 days in the period. And so what Mr. Crawford said is, hey, wait a minute. It's actually what we should do is take that monthly, multiply it by 12 to get an annual number, and then divide by 365. And that will give us our average daily credit sales.
Okay.
And so once we take our monthly income of 2,600 times 1,100, multiply that by 12, and then divide it by 365, that gives us our average credit sales per day. So now we've got days sales outstanding, we've got average credit sales per day. We can multiply those things together, and that will give us this answer right here. Does that help clear things up?
Yep.
Got it?
Yep, I got it.
Cool. Okay, so that's number 6. Now we need to do number 10. Okay, this one is more a test of your reading ability than of your math ability. Everyone looks at this problem and then they calculate the EOQ, which is totally understandable. But what's the question asking for? The number of orders, right? And so how would we find the optimal number of orders? We're going to take the annual amount that we're going to purchase, and we're going to divide by that optimal order size, and that will give us the optimal number of orders. Does that make sense? So let's walk through it. EOQ is equal to square root of 2 times, let's see, they begin each week with 150 phasers in stock. It's depleted each week and reordered. What are they telling us? What are they telling us our annual demand is in units per year? Yeah, how'd you get that?
150 times 52.
Yeah, D is equal to 150 per week multiplied by 52 weeks in a year. And you're telling me that's 70, how much?
78.
7,800. Very good. Okay, now, they tell us the carrying cost per phaser is $48 per year. Which one of our variables is that? Yeah, it's C. And they're saying it's $48 per year. And then there's one left. S. S is our order cost. 70. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got 2 times 7,800 times 70 divide by 48. So let's get our calculators out. Two times 7,800 times 70 equal, divide by 48 equal. What should I do next? Square root. And so my EOQ is equal to 150.83. Now, can I order 150.83? No, you can order 151, right? And so how do I figure out the number of orders per year? I'm going to take that 7,800 per year, divide by 151 and see what we get. Did I type that in right? 7,800 divide by 151.
If you do 150.83, it's a.
Yeah, obviously people have never placed an order in their life. Yeah, I'd like to order a car and a half. Okay, now, fortunately, none of the other choices are close enough that it would have mattered, and that's the way that I make sure that the exam questions are too. Whew!
Can you go back to 6? I just want to see what the answer was.
Yeah, yeah. And you saw how we got that? Did you get that same number?
I somehow got it, but I can't figure out what I did. But it's not that.
So I was in this class called Dynamics in engineering school, and I got my exam paper back, and on it, my professor had written, "You got the right answer, but I think you just got lucky."
Yeah. Probably what it was.
And he was right, and who knows, you might have.
I'm pretty sure I was like 2,000 or 3,000 off, so I just picked another one closest to it.
Oh,
That
hey,
might have been the case.
sweet. I like it. Okay, so I used to work for this guy who had flown A-7 Corsairs in Vietnam. And so I'm a brand new engineer and this other guy with me too. And he says, "Boys, would you rather be lucky or good?" What do you think we said? We said we'd rather be good because, you know, after all, we're engineers, right? Everything should be under control. He says, "Boys, I'd rather be lucky." He says, "I know a lot of good pilots that are dead." He said, "I'm just lucky." Questions?